Welcome guys to a video where it is finally about my most favorite topic that I love in the industry, in business in general, and especially in MLM, which is understanding and becoming skillful in how you speak. Look, the problem is that most people don't know how to speak. They don't know how to use the power of word of mouth in general. Now understand that every business, it doesn't matter, every business in any endeavor, in any sphere always comes back to how you speak, right? The very first time someone sees you and you introduce yourself, obviously the first thing is how you look. Obviously that is very important, we know that. But the second thing is the way you speak, and what you say is what can turn everything around. Now, speaking at the end of the day is the skill that will change your life, because speaking comes before selling, comes before online business, comes before everything. Now, if people tell you, look, I'm going to coach you how to become a salesperson, I'm going to coach you how to become a good MLMler, I have this business, I have that business, you will always have to speak. You will always have to speak to either customers, your own team, to people in general, to contractors. Even if you say, look, I build an online business, I have nothing to do with people, I have my own e-commerce dropshipping store, you're still going to speak and message, like speaking, messaging nowadays, still the same thing, right? Because you are translating words into text and sending them, but still most people are not capable of finding the right words, putting it into a strong message, right? So in this video, I want to focus especially on making you understand why speaking is so important. I'm going to give you three major mistakes that I see people making when it comes to speaking, when it comes to public speaking at the end of the day. Now understand that public speaking is among the most feared things for people. Most people fear public speaking more than dying. So their fear speaking in front of people is bigger than them dying in the future, right? There is a study about that which completely blew my mind. And that's when I started to really educate myself about how to deliver a speech, how to speak in front of people. Because many times you will see people that are maybe not so successful, or maybe they don't look that well, right? But they just have a big plus point for them. And that's because they are good speakers, because they can communicate their thoughts in a very eloquent way, and that's very important, obviously. Now, the biggest mistake that I see, so from now on you don't have to do it anymore, right, is especially when it comes to people presenting something. I jump on a lot of Zoom calls, I jump on a lot of presentations, and most of the times the business is very good and I like the idea, but the way how it is presented is completely off, and that obviously puts most people off, because they will not look at the opportunity itself in terms of what your business is, but how you present it, right? So the very first big mistake that I see people doing, especially when it comes to business conversations and speaking on a Zoom call, speaking in a meeting, talking to people just in general, is that at the end of the day, they completely mistaken the first couple of seconds on how important they are when they start to speak to someone, right? So most people will go like this: hey, nice to meet you, what's your name, that's my name, blah blah, small talk, and then you will get into business and then we'll start to talk a little bit, right? That's how most people do it. I see it as an insanely big mistake. It is when I jump into a room, into a Zoom call, then I'm gonna demand and I'm gonna frame where this is gonna go. For example, obviously I come in, I shake firmly the hand, I say, look, very nice to meet you. I expect us today to have a good conversation about future business, on how we can get together on this. For example, now you're already priming the conversation, you're already leading the conversation. Most people start a conversation just generally like everyone else, and it's misleading, or basically it doesn't lead anywhere. People respect people that know what they want. Now, you should not come across rude where you say, today we are meeting because I want you to become my customer, right? If you can say that and confidently, obviously that's good. But how many times did I jump on Zoom calls and I'm busy, right? And most likely if you do business, you are dealing with business partners, with people that are busy. So what you want from them is you want to make sure that you dictate and you understand, if you don't understand yourself, what this is going to be about. And you don't have to be rude, but you need to lead the conversation. So that is number one, because if you don't lead the conversation, if you don't open the conversation in the right way, you will never finish it in the right way, right? Number two is that most people just say what everyone else says. And that's difficult to understand, because obviously most of us speak a very average English, a very average German. And it's not so much about you speaking the language, it's more about you using a different framing, means a different way on how to speak that makes people think a little bit, where they're like, I've never heard that way. Now, let's do an example that I always see all the time, and please never make this mistake after you see this. most people, how do they begin a speech? How do they begin presenting something? They will say, hi, my name is Miguel. I'm 27 years old. I live in Dubai. Today, I'm going to present you on how you can be a better speaker. I will have 5 points for you. We'll start with this. And then they open their slides and they basically read from the slides and everyone's already sleeping, right? The way on how you hook, something became very famous, this famous term of hooking in the first couple of years in the industry of social media. In the first couple of years, everyone did it like everyone, right? Just like general, look, this is my content, this is what I do, this is my value, this is my business. Nowadays, it's completely filled with hooks. You don't understand that, but that's the reason why you watch it. Now, I will give you an example. The span of attention dropped from an average of 20 to 30 seconds per frame to about 4 to 7 seconds, right? That means movie scenes 10 years ago, one scene was about 22 seconds long. Nowadays, it's about 2 to 5 seconds, right? So they dropped it by 10x, right? 10x is what the attention span dropped over the last 5 to 10 years because we consume TikToks, we consume Reels, we consume information in a very fast pace of way, right? Now that means at the end of the day that people don't have the attention span they had anymore. They expect things to be quick and communicated very directly. Now, if you open a presentation, a talk, a meeting, and you message someone, you pitch someone in the same way everyone does it, then it's not interesting, right? I get emails sent every day. I get messages every day of people that want to be my content creators, do my content, do my reels. And look, the only ones that I really listen to are the ones that do something very funny and very different, okay? I tell you about this one email that I got. I get emails every day with, hey, I saw this and this and this. This and this is what you do wrong. I want to work for you and I will do it better. I get that all the time. Boring. Even though it's a good email, it's boring. Everyone does it, right? How will I choose if I get 10 emails, everyone says the same? I had one guy, he built a story around it. So he said, hi, Miguel, when I was in prison, I saw your video, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what is happening? You know, I was like obviously, I was already intrigued to just read the email because something about prison, saw my video in prison. I'm like, what the fuck, you know? And I'm like, and he continues, he's like, I saw your video in prison and because it's so good that no one wanted to have your value seen publicly, so they put all the information into a prison. Let me help you to even free the content more into the world. Something like very crazy, right? But I still remember like in the lines, right? But that's something that I gave attention to, right? Because it was completely different. So I will give you this free bit right now. At the end of the day, my biggest tip that I have is like, if you just do something else than everyone else, then you're already winning, okay? Now, how can you open a presentation the easiest way? With a hook. A hook means, what will they get? Always think in that way. That's a way that I always think it. Is that, what will you get if you listen to me? Okay, so for example, how did I start this video? I started this video and said, if you, for example, now how I mostly start videos, besides the Value Monday videos, because people are already like used to it, right? It's the same people watching. But if I do something completely new, and I do always hooks, is like, I'm gonna show you, if you listen to me for 5 minutes, for 10 minutes, for 50 minutes, whatever it is, how you become a better speaker and how you achieve all your goals every time you need to open your mouth. And obviously, every business, as I said also in the video, is connected to the word of mouth, what comes out of your mouth. So people understand, like, okay, that's very important for me to listen, so I get their attention span. I grab it, right? Now, if you don't grab the attention because you do it like everyone else, then obviously you will lose them, okay? And you will just give a speech, even though the content, the inner pieces, the value is very good, you already lost them, right? So always re-hook. Now, in the next step, I'm gonna show you another very important thing that most people make big mistakes in when it comes to speaking, right? So I'm hooking again. I'm making you look into it more. I grab your attention by telling you what happens if you, right? So always think in that way. That's advice number 2, okay? So don't be boring. Don't do what everyone does. Use the hooks in general, right? Don't make this mistake. And number 3, at the end of the day, when it comes to speaking, is that at the end, people need to understand that it's not so much about the speech. It's actually about the whole frame. It's the way of what you speak about and how you speak about it, right? There's different ways how we can speak. We can speak either if we, at the end of the day, give a public speech or a presentation out of our own minds, which I love, is like, I see that someone knows what he does if he can speak about his business without a presentation, without using like something that says the same way, like you don't have to read from a presentation. I love people that can sit in front of me and make it very easily understand of what they do in a couple of sentences. For example, I'm a top leader in iGenius. I worked together with them 7 years. They are registered since 10 years. most legal and strongest fundament company that exists, and iGenius teaches you the largest and most important skills in the biggest and largest financial markets, which is trading, investing, right? We give you the whole education that you need to become a trader yourself. We provide you with trade ideas from the best experts. They are tested, right, and replaced if they don't come up to the quality that we want them to come up to. And we offer automations. If you would like to join, there's 4 different packages. Varies from $99 to $1,500. The same thing you can do by using the products. You can share the products and make money on that. Is that something that you would like to do? Other people, for the same information, need a 1-hour presentation with slides to come give you across the same information, just with a lot of fillers, with a lot of BS. That means, and that's where you see that I know what I'm doing, and obviously expertise comes with that. But what I mean by point number 3 actually is people, the frame, talk about a frame that you're already inside of. Like, talk about things that you know to talk about. You know what I mean? So if you obviously have to present the business, then make as many mistakes presenting it, right? That's not something we can expect from the beginning, that you know how to speak about something that you're just starting. But I appreciate people that know what they speak about, because they have earned the right to speak about that very topic, because you can see that they're actually really interested in themselves. They know how to speak about it, and they make their mind up before they speak about it. Now, also, just to make an example, if you are meeting people and you're just casually sitting there and it's just like a meetup, tell stories. That's another very important way on how you can implement conveying a lot of information with ensuring that the information stays in the head of the person, is by teaching them with stories, right? Most of the times, and that's what I mean by the frame, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. You can give someone a message by factually telling them why it's so important that we need to make more revenue. But then you can also come up with a story that everyone gets impacted by emotionally on an emotional level, and that will make them produce more volume because they believe in the vision and the story, and the story will forever stuck with them, right? There's so many stories in the last 7 years that I can remember, right? I have been to probably 100 big events in the industry, right? And I don't remember anything. The only thing I remember are the stories from the speakers, right? That's basically it. I don't remember their 5 points. I just remember the stories, right? That's the only thing we remember. That's also why stories get passed over and over in our families, in our story in general. That's why we have these kid stories, these bad stories, and tell them our kids too. And that's how stories are passed into next generations, right? There are stories from, for example, the prophet. There are stories from Jesus. There's like all of these stories that we tell, because we as humans, we have a inherited capability of saving stories, because they connect, they make more sense, right? They impact us on an emotional, deeper level than just throwing facts at someone, right? So use stories in any conversation. Most likely also, if you're on a casual meeting or anything, most people will only listen to you if you tell them stories, right? Everything else is boring, so they will remember stories and nothing else. So if you don't tell stories in business, in general, you are just boring. So learn the skill of storytelling, and obviously all of this you will find in ICS, which is my own academy, and we just now launched a new chapter of how at the end of the day speak, and I talk about all of these mistakes. These were just 3 mistakes that you now will never do again. You will see and improve your way how you speak and communicate with people, and you will see the results. And I would love to hear from you. If you see this video and you see a difference in a month, 2 months, 3 months, obviously using the information, right? Please comment below this video and let me know if it helped you, the right information and disinformation. And understand that's just like 10% of what I talk about in ICS. The link will be below. Check out the mini course that shows you everything about what is going to happen in ICS and what you're going to learn. With that being said, I want you to become a better speaker, tell stories, right? Be prepared to do and say something that no one does, right? And be smart of the frame at the end of the day. And also never forget, people don't want to listen to the same stuff that everyone says. Open with hooks, implement hooks to grab attention. And if you do that, you will see an increase in sales. You will see an increase of people listening to you. You will see an insane success in conversation in general. And conversation is at the end of the day what makes you money and nothing else.